legislative issue, all right? If you're, what I have to say to the public, if you want homegrown, pick up the phone and call your state legislator, right? Right?
No, I mean,
it's simple as that. I mean, that's until that the law gets amended to allow homegrown, whatever that is. And there's philosophies all over the place. I mean, Charles has a philosophy. I have a philosophy on it, and you know, it's up to the.
It's a legislative act,
right?
We need legislative help here, and at this, I mean, we've done the research. There are states that have developed and morphed their home cultivation based on the research that they've done. And so we see states that did allow home grow, an exorbitant amount of plants, restricted it, right? And in restricting the amount of plants an individual can cultivate at home, they see that the concerns they had about diversion to illicit activity is not as prevalent as they thought. And so we're hoping that the research that guides these decisions, again, to Commissioner Delgado's point, we absolutely need the legislature to weigh in here. And we hope that they do, because this is very important. It's something that we hear every meeting from the patient community. This is a major concern for them. This is an equity issue. And so we hope that, you know, there are a handful of bills, I believe, already in the legislature. And so we hope that, you know, those are revisited, and especially for our patients, right? We understand the evolution to allowing every individual of age in the state of New Jersey to be able to cultivate a responsible amount. Our patients, though, that really need it, especially as we're onboarding adult use sales, you know, we hope that the legislature is really thinking about this intently, because it will be a major help to the industry and especially to the patient community.
So here's the bottom line. There's two roads. It's either going to, homegrown is either going to become legal, or it's not going to become legal in the short term. I mean, that's the way I see it. You know?
One interesting way to look at it is to basically see other substances. For example, alcohol. Is it legal for us to make our own beer at home? If that kind of basically consideration might help us in basically shaping the kind of cultivation culture. So another important thing is that,
to your point, I don't mean to interrupt. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's legal to make a certain amount of wine at home and a certain amount of beer home brew.
Yeah.
But look how long it took for that to happen.
Exactly. So economically, it doesn't make sense for me to do it myself. So I prefer to buy it from liquor store, or, for example, those stores that provide this. So I guess eventually we should get to that.
I think maybe outside of red wine, I think the dynamic here is that if I'm cultivating, to your example, if I'm cultivating beer, it's probably for my enjoyment. And doctor, we can talk about philosophy here, the intent and purpose. Cultivation for medicinal patients, the purpose and the intent is for their wellness and their medicinal benefit, right? And so it's not for just their casual enjoyment. They hopefully will be cultivating in an effort to have their medicine readily accessible in a manner and in a way that's conducive to their condition. And so I think there is some nuance there, right? I don't know that alcohol has those medicinal benefits and medicinal properties in the same way that cannabis does.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point. I mean, there has been research from, you know, early adoption states, California, Colorado, Washington, that one of the things that legalization did, even adult use legalization, was greatly expanded the medical market. And particularly something, you know, I'm interested in, it's older people. I mean, they actually end up being some of the largest consumers of cannabis, mainly for treating pain, pain, insomnia, and a number of the other conditions that, as we get older, you know, we experience. And so, yeah, the growing is an interesting side there, where they were saying, look, I need, you know, and elderly folks are often on fixed incomes, right, Social Security or whatever, and So there will be, I'm kind of interested when you said equity too about that. That maybe shifts it a little. The senior citizens of New Jersey and things like that. What are the thoughts about that?
So,
It's kind of two
you
questions.
know, I kind of want to close this with this statement because I have a hard stop at 3:45, but to take another call, go on another panel. I would say this. I think that if you want homegrown, all right, I think it's incumbent on those homegrown advocates to convince enough legislators, to convince leadership in the state legislature, both the Senate and the Assembly side, to move forward and do that. You know, we as commissioners, you know, we have, you know, we're not advocate. We can't advocate either way, but I would say it's incumbent on those advocates to do that. You know, and that would be the message to your public.
So, Eric, anything to add?
I would just follow up with I kind of asked two questions, and it is, to my mind, an equity question too. How do the elderly figure in to these kinds of policies?
The elderly are very important, and it's a important consideration, right? To your point, and I know this from my personal experience with the elderly people in my life, right? Mobility becomes an issue, right? Getting around becomes an issue, and so those factors weigh into the ability to have the medicine that you need, right? And so we are considering it. To Commissioner Delgado's point, we can't make the decision. It doesn't rest with the CRC, unfortunately. But at the same time, if enough momentum is galvanized, I do think we can move forward on this because the elderly are not dismissed here. And to your point about the elderly being not only supporters, but very interested and active in the cannabis marketplace, it's something that is very important to consider on their behalf.
I can't tell you that again, we've had discussions with AARP.
Right, sure.
That we consider them one of our stakeholders.
Oh, absolutely.
And if they want to continue, if they want to come back and have further discussions with AARP, we're open to hear, what they have to say, and we're open to hear what input they have, what recommendations we have, what's good, what's bad, and they are one of our stakeholders, and they're a key stakeholder. AARP is a key stakeholder in the state. It's a stake, and they're a key stakeholder for the Cannabis Regulatory Commission.
Very good.
And the last question I wanted to ask today is about the role that higher education institution could play in